Capricorn. Welcome back to Starspoken Oracle. This is episode 9 of your weekly reading, and today we are reading for Capricorn, for the week of July 1st through July 7th, 2026. This week gives you permission to actually rest, not as a reward you have to earn, but simply as a need you have to meet. Every week I shuffle the deck for all 12 signs and let the cards fall where they need to, but this week Sky is doing more of the talking than usual. Two fast-moving planets are about to shake things loose right in the middle of a slower, more introspective retrograde season, and that tension between speed and patience shows up in your card whether you notice it right away or not. Before we get to your card, let's talk about what the sky is actually doing this week, because it touches every single sign, and it shapes exactly how your card wants to be read. The cosmic weather. This week's sky is anything but quiet. Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, a shift that began June 29th and holds through July 23rd, which means communication, travel, and old business all move a little slower, a little more prone to mix-ups, and a lot more likely to circle back to unfinished conversations from the past. Do not panic about the delays. Retrograde season is not punishment, it is a review period, and if you use it that way instead of fighting it, this can be one of the more productive stretches of your year. Then, on July 4th, two things happen within hours of each other. Mars forms an exact, volatile conjunction with Uranus at 3 degrees of Gemini, a combustible pairing of raw drive and sudden disruption that has been building since late June and finally snaps into focus. Expect the unexpected this week, sudden changes of plan, flashes of insight, or a jolt of energy that moves faster than your ability to plan for it. On the same day, Venus glides into confident, warm-hearted Leo, softening the sharper edges of the week with a dose of romance, creativity, and self-assurance. So the week has two moods running at once, Mercury retrograde asking you to slow down, review, and finish what you started, while Mars, Uranus, and Venus in Leo push you towards sudden action and bold self-expression. The trick is not choosing one over the other, it is knowing which parts of your life need the pause, and which parts need the leap. Every reading this week, for every sign, is really a variation on that same question. Where in your life is patience the answer, and where is boldness overdue? This is episode 9 of Starspoken Oracle, which means we are now solidly past the midpoint of the year and sliding into the back half of summer, a natural point for stock-taking even without a retrograde underlining it. Whatever you started back in January has had 6 months to prove itself. This week's mixed signals of pause and leap are, in a sense, the sky asking you to check in on exactly that. For you, Capricorn, the retrograde fog is less an obstacle than an invitation to do the one thing you rarely allow yourself to do: pause. Your card. Now, Capricorn, let's turn the card. I shuffled the deck thinking about your week, about the energy the stars are handing you, and about what you need to hear rather than what might be comfortable to hear. The card that came up for you this week is 4 of Swords. Take a breath with that one, Capricorn. Let's talk about what it actually means for you right now, and why the timing of this particular card, in this particular week, is not a coincidence. What it means. The 4 of Swords shows a knight lying in quiet repose, swords resting above him rather than in his hand. This is recovery, not defeat, the deliberate pause before the next push. For famously tireless Capricorn, this card can feel almost like an order rather than a suggestion, and with Mercury retrograde muddying the timeline for big decisions anyway, the timing lines up. The Four of Swords is often misread as illness or defeat, but its true message is simpler. Even the strongest fighter needs to lay the sword down between battles. This week is that pause, not a setback. Here's something worth watching for as the week unfolds, Capricorn. You might notice this as guilt creeping in the moment you sit down to do nothing, an urge to check one more email before you actually rest. Notice the guilt, and rest anyway. It is not laziness, Capricorn, it is maintenance. The areas of your life. Let's walk through where this lands, Capricorn. In love and relationships. In relationships, this is a week for quiet, low-key connection rather than grand gestures. Recharge together instead of performing togetherness. Single Capricorn, rest is more magnetic right now than effort. Let something come to you instead of chasing it. A quiet night in, a shared silence, or simply doing nothing together will do more for a relationship this week than an elaborate plan. Let rest be the romantic gesture. In work and career. Professionally, a forced or wise pause on a big decision is showing up this week. Regroup before the next push rather than announcing a new plan while Mercury is still retrograde. Silence is strategy right now, not stalling. If you feel pressure to announce a decision this week, resist it. Mercury retrograde favors reviewing the plan quietly over presenting it publicly before it is ready. In money and resources. Financially, hold off on big moves until clarity returns after the retrograde clears around July 23rd. This is a week to review the plan, not execute a new one. This is a week to review your financial plan rather than execute a new one. Wait for the clearer skies after Mercury goes direct before making a major move. And in health and energy. Physical rest is not negotiable this week. Capricorn, your body has been keeping score on the effort you have refused to slow down for. Ignoring the signal now costs more later. Sleep, more than any supplement or system, is the single highest leverage thing you can do for your body this week. Protect it like an appointment you cannot miss. And one more area worth naming this week, your own growth. Your growth edge is believing rest is productive on its own terms. You do not have to justify the pause with a to-do list you completed first this week. Rest is simply allowed, no earning required. Your guidance for the week. Before the practical advice, a word on timing, Capricorn, because this week's sky moves in a specific shape. The whole week favors slowing down rather than pointing to a single specific day, but if you need one clear signal, let it be July 4th's volatile Mars-Uranus energy, which is a good day to deliberately do less, not more, while everyone else feels the urge to rush. So what do you actually do with all of this? The strongest move this week is stillness. Rest is not the opposite of ambition, Capricorn, it is what makes the next push possible. Capricorn, stillness is not the opposite of your ambition, it is the maintenance that makes the ambition sustainable. If you take one thing from this reading into your week, Capricorn, let it be that. Not as a rule to follow perfectly, but as a direction to lean toward when you are not sure which way to turn. Come back to your card if the week gets confusing. Four of Swords is simpler advice than it looks at first glance. Closing. Before you go, Capricorn, here is a one-line journal prompt to sit with this week if you want to take this reading further than just listening. Where this week am I being asked to slow down, and where am I being asked to leap? Write down the first honest answer that comes to mind, not the answer that sounds best, just the one that is true. Capricorn, here is your affirmation for the week of July 1st to 7th. Say it with me, once, like you mean it. I rest without guilt, because rest is how I stay strong. Carry that with you as you move through this week's Four of Swords. That is your reading for this week. If this landed for you, subscribe so you do not miss episode 10. It drops next Wednesday, with a brand new card for every sign. And if this week's reading was helpful, share it with the Capricorn in your life who needs to hear it too. The stars have spoken, Capricorn. Until next week.